Fox News has Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez derangement syndrome. Now, before I show you this ridiculous clip, let me first set the stage for what this is about. So, Ocasio-Cortez and other progressives have a critique of Amazon and cities like New York that have offered Amazon $1.5 billion in taxpayer-funded incentives for Amazon to build their headquarters there. So the critique is, why are we giving $1.5 billion to Amazon, a massively profitable corporation, when that money could be going to anything else, like roads or schools or transit? So that's the critique here. Now, watch what Fox News is criticizing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about.
With more on a bit of hypocrisy.
Yes,
Hey,
good morning. There are a lot of politicians opposing the deal with Amazon coming here to New York City. Politicians like Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But according to the New York Post, records show that both of their campaigns, in fact, use Amazon to order thousands of dollars in supplies. According to the Post, Ocasio-Cortez, her campaign spent about $10,000 in supplies on Amazon, also had an Amazon wish list, while Senator Gillibrand used about $2,000 to buy supplies on Amazon. Now, a spokesperson for Ocasio-Cortez told the Post that it isn't inconsistent for her to be an Amazon customer while opposing the, quote, corporate welfare, rather.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. This is so unbelievably stupid, but let me try and break it down for you. So they're criticizing Ocasio-Cortez because her campaign bought, office supplies off Amazon, and that she has an Amazon wish list. So that means she can't critique how New York City is giving Amazon $1.5 billion in taxpayer-funded incentives. So this critique, first of all, is really actually about the government and how we keep propping up these massive corporations when we have actual issues to deal with, like healthcare, like transit, like infrastructure. That's where the actual critique right now is. But even if you want to say the critique is about Amazon, because there are many critiques about Amazon, individual actions do not change the system. The criticism from democratic socialism or social democracy is a critique about the system, how we need systemic change. Individual actions will not change the system. So let me show you this quote from Micah Utrick. "There is no ethical consumption under capitalism," said Micah Utrick, associate editor of the socialist magazine Jacobin. "Exploitation is baked into the system." In fact, Utrick, a dues-paying member of the Democratic Socialists of America, argues that dwelling on individual consumption decisions could serve as a distraction from more meaningful forms of political struggle. So you have to understand, like Utrick says there is individual action does not change the system. We have to push a movement to push on the government to change the system, because the government is what has designed this system. If we have critiques of, if there are any actual critiques of something like Amazon, the critique is that Amazon is allowed to do the business practices that they have. Apple is allowed to tax dodge the way they tax dodge. That is the problem. It is a systemic problem. It is not an issue where you can simply boycott Amazon and then they fix everything. No, the system has to be fixed. So this idea, I can go down just a massive list. I use a Mac. I drive a car. I eat at fast food sometimes where they don't pay workers properly. There is no way around it. We live in this system where, as he says here, exploitation is baked into the system. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. So the critique is about the government, how the government should be changing the system. And luckily we have someone like Ocasio-Cortez that is now going to be in government, hopefully proposing legislation that would deal with issues like this. Now, I saw this comic online. This was posted by Parker Malloy of Media Matters. This is a Matt Boers comic. I want to read through this because this is sort of a funny way of explaining what I just explained. So the first pane here, Apple AirPods cost $159, but they can't pay taxes or decent wages to their Chinese factory workers. Post, you said on an iPhone. Ha, gotcha. Cars should have seatbelts, yet you bought one. Hypocrite much? Owned. We should improve society somewhat. Yet you participate in society. Curious. I am very intelligent. So this is just a comedic way of explaining how absurd this argument is. And I posted this online. I saw a couple of funny reactions I want to share. So this person posted, personally, I'm against climate change. And then Stephen Hilton replied, yet you live in a climate. Interesting. This other person here, Christian V, posted an edit of the comic. So we should improve society somewhat. The response, Venezuela. So again, this is just a completely absurd premise that you can't participate in society if you have any critique of it. There really is no end to that. Anything we do touches something that we likely don't agree with, whether it's somebody not being paid properly, whether it's tax dodging. You can go on and on and on. The problem is that we are in this system that forces us to have to deal with this sort of thing, that forces us to have to edit on a Mac or on Windows. I mean, there's no escape. All of these companies have their problems. So for me to get the word out, I have to use software and programs that from companies that maybe don't have the best business practices. But that's the society we live in, which is why we have a systemic critique that can only be adjusted by the government. Now, let me show you just a little more of this Ocasio-Cortez derangement syndrome from Fox News.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez.
She's out.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
So there you go. Fox News talks more about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez than CNN or MSNBC do. Now, CNN and MSNBC are not, left-wing organizations. They are corporate-backed organizations. They are establishment organizations. So I wouldn't really expect them to be, spreading the message of Ocasio-Cortez. But the reason Fox News covers her so much is because they do it to try and smear her, like they did with the Amazon segment. They're afraid of her. You don't talk about your enemy this much unless they freak you out. So Ocasio-Cortez won her race against her primary race against a Democratic leader. And she did that without corporate-backed money. She did that without big donor money. She did that on small individual donations and a message for the working class and a base of volunteers that helped get her word out. So the policies she ran on, higher wages, getting money out of politics, Medicare for all. These are policies that when the American people are polled on them, the vast majority of Americans agree with them. That is why Fox News is freaked out, because they know how powerful the Ocasio-Cortez message is, so they have to try and devise a way to work back against her. But clearly they are failing, because a lot of the coverage I've seen of Ocasio-Cortez is them trying to spin Medicare for all into being a scary thing, or try and spin higher taxes on the wealthy into a scary thing, when what they're actually doing is getting the word out about who Ocasio-Cortez is, that she even exists. Now they know that she exists, and they're going to hear her message, and they're going to see her in Congress fighting for real workers and not taking corporate money, not taking big donor money. Name me any Republican that does that speaks to a message that the vast majority of people agree with when pulled on a policy, and they don't take corporate money or big donor money. That Republican on the national level does not exist, which is why they're scared of her. So again, just to get back to the Amazon thing, this is a critique about the system. You don't change the system with individual action. You change it through government, which is why we see these movements like the DSA pushing certain candidates out there that are willing to challenge that system. Because we all recognize that, hey, if I stop shopping on Amazon tomorrow, it's not going to change anything. There are millions and millions of people that shop on Amazon and they're not going to stop. Having, say, 10,000 people stop shopping there is not going to do anything. You have to change the system that allows, for example, billionaires to exist. So the critique of the wealthy, of these massive corporations, isn't necessarily about the corporations or the wealthy. It is about the system that allows them to exist. You fix the system, you fix the problem.